Form.
Boys, we have arrived.
We're here.
Oh,
3 years.
in the famous words of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the day has finally come. The minutes, the seconds, we have reached our moment.
Boys, we're here.
I don't know the rest of it, but we are here.
We're here.
Now, that was WrestleMania 3. There's WrestleMania 22. Hello, let me introduce you to the character.
It's funny. Straight off the bat, you're already going to think we're a wrestling podcast because I can tell you right now, all I'm thinking of is old WrestleMania. I think it's 18 or 19 with Limp Bizkit, where it's just the old intros. I just love the old intros that we used to get. But let's introduce ourselves then. I guess I'll go first. So I'm JD. I'm an avid Carlton supporter. I love the Blues, and like the rest of us, I'm a massive fucking wrestling nerd.
I'll go next. I'm Nate from Nate McFooty. Nate's Footy AWO, whatever you want to call me. I am a Collingwood supporter, so I like to think that this may be the closest thing we've got to a Collingwood supporter and a Carlton supporter being on a show together on a weekly basis. Not as a one-off, but on a weekly basis.
Not only that, but being best friends. We actually like each other. Most weeks. Most weeks. My hobbies or passions include anything footy and Breaking Bad. And my mobile number is 0459 Yeah, you know everything about me already.
My name's Mason. I'm the Fremantle fan. I do not have anywhere near the knowledge that these two do about footy, but I'm just along for the ride. We're going to have some fun.
The way I look at it, mate, is you're our local, you play local footy. We gave up a long time ago.
Play. I'm trying my best.
Hey, back pocket of the century in my heart.
Oh, no, they put me up as a small forward yesterday.
What?
Yeah.
Small forward.
I know, right?
What? They train you as a back pocket all season and go, you know what? Small forward.
No, there was no positional training. This is Rezzy's footy.
Actually, yeah, okay. Rezzy's footy. Okay.
Rezzy's football.
Rezzy's football was some of my favorite football when I played because let's be honest, it's the blokes who just can't quite make the ones and the big fat 30-year-olds who just haven't got it anymore.
Oh yeah.
And it was the best blend of old and young. And I used to have a ball playing Rezzy's footy. That I reckon was some of the best footy I ever had. You're
in your first year of Rezzy's footy. You've got a bit of an identity crisis. So you don't know who you are in Rezzy's footy yet. You're going to find out in a few weeks' time who you really are.
I just can't wait to follow the journey that we get to go on of Mason and Rezzy's football. Let's be honest, we don't have a segment for it, but I would like every now and again just a minute of how the Rezzy's football went that week, and then feel free to include whatever we want. Okay. Mace, how'd you go? Was it yesterday or today?
It was yesterday. So I've actually got some footage that I can share to the group.
Oh, please give it. Yes.
I laid a massive tackle on some bloke that tried charging through me. Pretty much bellied to bellied him. I laid a nice tackle, but most of the time I was lost, man. I got a reaming pretty much because I was filling the pocket. And yeah, my big key forward told me off. He gave me a spray, but I learned quickly to give him space and take my defender with me.
Let's be honest, when you play that small forward role, mate, any full forward will tell you what to do. Yeah. You're meant to be at his feet, he's not at your feet.
We're not just a wrestling. Oh, we're not fucking wrestling.
It totally took 2 minutes.
We are not just a footy talk show, podcast, whatever. We will sprinkle in a little bit of wrestling. We do have a few segments in mind. We've got ourselves the Boys Club Awards from the mind of JD, the Stephenson Warry Hall of Fame from the mind of yours truly, Nate McFooty, Meso's arrow. You've heard of Caro's arrow. We're now delivering Meso's arrow from the mind of Mace Man, the Spaceman. But most importantly, we've got a shared segment called Takesh to Watch.
Our boy. Did anyone?
Our boy.
I got to ask quickly. Did anyone actually watch Rampage? Okay,
Nope.
good. I'm glad. I did not.
Oh, shit.
So I'm glad.
I only watched it because of Takeshita.
Beautiful. At least someone watched it. Because I was just thinking, I was like, I definitely didn't watch that yesterday.
You know what's sad? I've got detailed notes on the match.
Wait. Whoa.
We will talk
Podcast
about it later. We will talk about it later. All right?
Yeah, we will. But before we even move on, what is on your hand right now? Are you wearing a golf glove?
I've got the Quinton Lynch finger. Oh.
I was not ready. You're going to have to level that like no tomorrow because you killed me then. I did not expect you to have a full footy glove on. You're my
I'm not expecting
hero.
you to have an El Generico mask. It's probably moving around right now. You got me freaked out as well.
I mean, I could just go give you a little bit of, there you go.
And you've got an undeserving Brownlow medalist.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Whoa. Hey, I got a quick question for you.
Go ahead.
Did he get suspended last year?
He actually did.
But did he stay suspended?
There was a few under the table deals, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Hey, boys, before we move on, did he stay suspended?
No comment.
No, he played the next game.
Don't you even...
And they lost.
Don't, no! I knew it was heading there.
Well, speaking of Carlton, we'll get into the round one preview. I guess our season predictions as well. We've got to push it out to 20-plus minutes because every other YouTuber's doing it. Yeah, we'll start off with the first game, Richmond v Carlton, but we will start off with Richmond. Their ins for 2023, Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper from GWS. A few late picks, but the main, out of nowhere draftee, I guess, is Kalen Bratke, pre-season selection over Quinton Narkle. And Quinton Narkle is going to be the most unluckiest footballer in Australia. Missed out on pre-season selection, and then Jason Castagna retires.
Oh.
It's a rough one, isn't it? He certainly should be on. I mean, if we're all being honest, Quinton Narkle should be on a list in 2023.
He probably will.
Sparkle
Narkle, not on a list yet.
I reckon maybe we'll see. He more than likely should go in the mid-season if he doesn't go because supplementary is over, of course. Yeah. So his only chance to get back on a list this year is a mid-season draft. Is it possible? More than likely, but again, you've got to. I would say you've got to show yourself at some form of level in those 6 months.
Well, unfortunately, he's not playing for Richmond, and we're not talking about Narkle. We're talking about Richmond.
I was going to say we've gone into Narkle, but okay. So Richmond,
their outs include Shane Edwards, Kane Lambert, Josh Caddy, all retiring, as well as Castagna, and they've listed some key depth in Jake Art, Sydney Stack, Matthew Parker. I think he retired late last year though, and Collier Dawkins. So their key forward depth might not be there for 2023. What do you guys think about Richmond's chances for 2023? And I do have a question as well. Hypothetical, if Richmond win the flag in 2023, where does that leave Dimmer in terms of all-time coaches?
I'll start. So
yeah, good.
One, I think Richmond have made some of the best moves in the off-season to address the issues they had in the midfield. Their midfield is rebuilt, let's be honest. Their midfield is going to be deadly.
They're ready to go.
Yeah, should absolutely destroy a lot of teams. The problem I have with Richmond is their forward line. Their forward line is so old. Like, there's going to be a few players who'll go through that should be, a little bit younger. But to me, your mainstays are Lynch and Riewoldt, who are getting up there in age. Riewoldt, to me, this year is going to be a real test to see how he goes. I do think this could be the year that proves whether he should have retired last year or whether we were all wrong. And he goes, nah, he's done well. He goes on. Yeah, I do think Richmond is a team this year that can absolutely push, but it all comes down to injuries. Like you sort of said, Nate, they've lost a lot of depth. So I think you lose those players. Who knows what happens if they sustain 5 to 6 injuries early on in the season. They could be absolutely clawing for it straight away.
I saw Damien Barrett's on Access All Areas. He's sliding doors. He's already got one out so far. He doesn't have much faith in Richmond. And sorry to say, I'm in the same boat. I don't see Richmond as a premiership threat. I don't think they'll be top 4. I think they'll still push for finals. But the key ins of Taranto and Hopper is almost like a smokescreen. I think they are a bit too old. I think they're going the Geelong route. They're not going the rebuild route. They're trying to, I guess, bottom out a bit while still playing finals and then make another push. But their list is aging. They've got Rewaltz approaching mid-30s. Tom Lynch in his 30s. Not entirely fit either. There's a few injury concerns there. Prestia with his hamstring. I think he may be touch and go for round 1. Cochin won't be playing as much midfield. He's also going up there in age. Dusty Martin's got a couple of years left. Obviously, with his injury concerns in 2021, up and down in 2022, but he's a champion of the game regardless. We're not going to criticise him for the recent years. If Taranto and Hopper don't work out, then they've got a bit of a problem. And I can see why some people have got them out of the 8, but I'm seeing some people predicting to win the flag. That's not me in this case. I've got Richmond finishing in about 7th spot yet again. As far as round 1 goes, it's going to be a tight game. Is it possible the very first game of the year could be a draw?
There is as the Carlton fan of the group, there is every possibility. I have heard a lot of criticism, and we'll get to it in a second when we get to Carlton, where we haven't added anything to our list. I argue that realistically, you don't need to, you just need to improve.
Speaking of Carlton, I guess I'm going to their ins. They got Blake Acres from Freo, bargain pick. Sorry, Meso. Draftees, noticeable draftees though, Hollands and Cowan, who could very well be playing round 1. And they got Alex. Now, John, please correct me if I mispronounce his name. Kinchcotta?
Sincotta.
Sincotta.
Sincara?
Sincotta.
He's watching all over the place, mate.
Sincotta from the preseason draft, who, according to someone from Reddit, was a bit of a dickhead in high school.
Oh.
Yes, we did discuss this a few weeks ago. I mean, of course, no one's going to get this. We have a group chat, of course, but it's one of those things that we did discuss at length because I think I said, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to really hold somebody to their to what they're like in high school.
Hey, JD, we're in cancel culture, right? Whatever you did in 2011 is going to catch up to you, mate.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think he's like, because he's a mature age rookie, definitely a good pickup for Carlton. Somebody who addresses the Zach Williams injury immediately, which, I mean, since we're talking about Carlton, I may as well get into it. Massive injury in the off-season. Zach Williams going down sucks. The day I woke up and saw that, because it was on the preseason camp that he did it, absolutely shattering. Because I mean, we always joke about as a group, he was training the house down. From what all we heard was he was training the house down. And he was going to have a ripper season. So absolutely shattering to hear that that's happened to him. But, I mean, we got to roll with it. We didn't have him for most of last season anyway. Big news today, actually, was that Sam Doherty actually signed for 2 years. So extension there for Sam Doherty. I mean, he was never going to leave to begin with. But at the end of the day, that as a Blue supporter, that's something that we're very happy with. I don't think I want to give my prediction on where I think we're going to finish, because I think it's unfair for us as our own teams to sort of go, this is where, because we're biased. So I think we're going to go better. I do think we're going to go better than last season. I don't buy into the fact that I think a lot of people think that we haven't added enough, so we're not going to be able to push any further. Players just improve. That's the way I kind of look at it, is players just improve at the end of the day. So, let's see what happens.
Carlton's outs obviously include Zach Williams. We're not off the list completely, just injured.
Exactly.
Setterfield out, Jack Noon's out, Stocker out, Will Hayes out, a bit unfortunate on that one. Lockie Parks also out, a bit early for that one. Oscar McDonald getting delisted, obviously being injured for too long. I'm going to make a bold prediction. Now, I have science for this one. Every season, since the start of 2015, there's always been a side that finishes top 4 having missed the finals the previous season, whether they're going to win the flag or not. Which is why I've got Carlton finishing top 4 this year.
It's, I mean, as the experienced Blues member, I mean, let's be honest, I'm a proper member when it comes to this stuff. I pay $800 a season for this shit. Let's be honest. It's either to me, it's all or bust. They're either going to do. They're either going to go.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be like. I'm when I say all or bust, I shouldn't say like, oh, that's a flag to me. I mean all or bust in terms of they're going to push as hard as they can and get themselves in the top 4, or it's going to go the other way and we're going to finish somewhere near 12th. And that's the way I do think it's either going to be one or the other. I do not think there's going to be much in between for Carlton this year. I think what we've added, the determination, the list itself, there's no excuses. Exactly. So it's time to go. It's time to prove what Vossi is made of as a coach and what the players can do.
You've got 2 Coleman medalists. You've got a Brownlow medalist. You've got the best player under the age of 22, Sam Walsh. He'll be back.
John Cena.
Yeah. An All-Australian defender. Jacob Wiedering, was he All-Australian or he's up there?
Not too sure, but I mean, realistically, without that injury last year, probably is.
Yeah. No excuse at this stage. You've got rid of your depth a little bit when guys like Nunes, lesser extent Stocker instead of Setterfield and whatnot. But Cowan, it seems like a bargain pick. Hollands could be playing round 1. He may be heading in straight away. Akers as well.
Paddy Dow's on the list. Nothing's going wrong.
The boy himself.
Hey Mace, what do you think of the Blues? Because I know the Blues have been a bit of a soft spot for you the last couple of not a soft spot, a bit of a hard spot because of Nunesy.
You've covered a lot. But I reckon you guys just slide in. I reckon you just slide into the 8 behind us.
You think it's what I said it wasn't? You think there is in between for Carlton? You don't think you're going to go all or nothing? There is in between for them.
I reckon, yeah. You were supposed to make it last year. There's a bit of a soft spot, but I reckon for sure you will. I don't reckon you're top 4 because, depth and possible injuries and whatnot, and the way that your game style is, it's very heavy duty.
It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. Especially with the extra round this season, I'm not sure if Carlton's game style will beat them up again, because I think we can all agree by the end of last season, Carlton were really showing they were beaten up. They beat themselves up. They were beating other teams up, but the problem with that was they were beating themselves up in the process.
Yeah, they were getting worn down for sure. That's what I noticed, and that's the injuries started piling up. So yeah, about 8th. Sorry, 9th. 8th.
Relax, Maso. It happened.
All right, I'm going to tell a quick story, just a quick little Carlton story. So you'll probably get little bits of this from the podcast throughout the year. I go to that many games. I mean, you're going to love this, mate, Nath, because this is the round 23 story.
Go ahead.
Okay, so envision being a fan of any club. Envision having to sit in the perfect position to watch Jamie Elliott kick the winning goal against you. I had a group session outside of the MCG after that with about maybe 10 Carlton fans where we all got together, and the one thing we screamed was the word fuck. And that was the best day. After that game, that was all I needed. Sorry, it wasn't the best day. It was in terms of that was all I needed. We're ready for this year. We're ready to come back. That's all I'll say, boys. We're ready.
I need to do my Tiger, where I think they'll finish. How that go.
Oh, yeah, go.
I reckon I still have you guys winning the game. And as depth, as you brought up earlier, didn't really think about that. I just saw the midfield and it was like they're ready to go. They'll shoot back up the ladder. But yeah, now that you mention it, they don't really have anybody to replace Lynchy or Rewald if they go down, which they're more than likely going to go down.
Lynch will.
Yeah, Lynch will. It's just, and then who's there to fill in?
Well, so then they normally swing. Who is it they normally swing down from backline?
Bolter.
Bolton.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh,
so but
yeah.
again, you're sacrificing a defense player, which again, I don't think their defense is that strong.
Which, by the way, Gibkiss, I don't think he's playing round 1. Tarrant is
No.
not playing round 1. So yeah, Bolt will probably have to be playing the
Tarrant's
swing.
like 40 years old as well. Like, why are we relying?
He looks 20, all right. So don't.
But why are we
Tarzan.
relying on Robbie Tarrant?
Rely on
Don't diss
Tarzan.
Tarrant.
All right.
Gibbs is pretty good as well. So yeah, I have them finishing about ninthman.
Ooh.
Yep. Oh.
Ninthman.
Meso thinking they're finishing ninthman. That's amazing. I haven't heard the word ninthman in like 10 years.
It hasn't happened, since 2007?
I know. It needs to happen again.
It has to happen. We're overdue. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm going to bring up the next game. I'm going to kick us off for the next one. Nate, feel free to hit me with the ins and outs. But so we've got Geelong Collingwood on the Friday night. So, of course, we'll go into Geelong first. Nate, hit me with those ins and outs.
We've got Jack Bowes from Gold Coast, Tanner Broon from GWS, Ollie Henry from Collingwood the Dog, and Jai Clark, pick 7 or pick 8. Almost not like for Selwood, but someone that's going to slot straight in. Outs for Geelong, Joel Selwood, Luke Dowhouse retiring, so did Sean Higgins. Cooper Stevens, I'm not sure how many games he played, traded to Hawthorn. Sparkle Narkle delisted. Francis Evans also delisted. I mentioned him because he's out Port Adelaide. Almost no expectations for Geelong this season. They've won the flag. They've done it all. I guess they're going to be hungry to go back-to-back, something they haven't done. Dangerfield as captain at the age of 32.
I was just about to say, one thing you didn't mention was Dangerfield as the new captain as well.
Well, I just mentioned it, all right?
Yeah.
Settle down. I'm on top of it.
You've got it. It's all good. But yeah, I mean, with Geelong, I mean, it's another, like you said, I think it's a year they can do whatever they want. They could literally finish 17th for all my liking, and I'm going to sit there and still say that they've done brilliantly the last 10 years.
But this is a stat that I don't think anyone's really mentioned. They're on a 16-game win streak.
Oh,
They're
wow.
8 wins away from breaking the all-time record.
You've
got Collingwood round 1, Carlton round 2, Gold Coast up there though in round 3. If they start the season 3 wins, no losses, I reckon they could be on track to break the all-time record in round 8 against Adelaide in Geelong.
Well, realistically, if they get past both of our mobs, it's I pointed at Mace first immediately, but I genuinely do think if they can get past both of our mobs, I do think that that immediately cements them as okay. This is some because again, we're both teams that have been proved who are meant to go far this year. So you beat us immediately. That's game on for Geelong.
I want to see it happen. I will go down to Geelong and watch them break the all-time record, which, by the way, they've got at 23 back in the 50s.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Their record.
Yeah.
Against Adelaide in Geelong, they will unfurl the flag in round 6, the Premiership flag, against Sydney in Geelong. That's a big fuck you to Sydney.
Do they not? So they'll definitely unfurl it in round 6?
Against Sydney in Geelong. But they're going to display it in round 1 as a tribute to Joel Selwood.
Have they also got that big, sexy new stadium?
Still under construction. Stage 5. No, hang on. Stage 5 development.
Are you telling me though that we're going to be looking at no stand at one end again?
No, there'll probably be a stand, probably just with no fans in it. Still under development.
Man. Oh, that was my favorite part though. Like when they would randomly cut to the tradie doing nothing in the distance.
I did enjoy. Did you know? Actually, I'll give you an interesting fact from last season. Did you know that apparently Tom Hawkins did reveal that they were struggling to take shots at that end of the ground? So Jeremy Cameron would specifically stand in a specific spot and he'd try to aim for Cameron. So basically, he didn't have to worry about where he thought he was kicking because normally when you have basically the way he described it is normally when you have the stand there, you're aiming for a fan. You point out somebody, you point out a spot. They didn't have that. They just had basically a blank void that they had to kick into. So, yeah, it was a very interesting. That was just something interesting I thought from last season that they did really well.
So, Cats start their premiership defence against Collingwood. I guess I'll do the ins and outs for my boys. A lot of trade-ins. I'll start with Dan McStay. Surprising free agency pickup for us. Billy Frampton, Bobby the Hill, Tom Mitchell traded in.
Bobby the Hill.
Markov Gate. Started at Collingwood, ended up at Carlton.
Oh,
finished at
Markov
Collingwood.
Gate.
I'm dubbing it Markov Gate. My bold prediction, and John may laugh at this. John may have this. John may want this. I think Collingwood will dip, and I think they'll dip far enough to miss finals in 2023. But
I can only hope.
I still think Collingwood will win at least 12 games, 23 rounds, 12 and 11. I think will not be enough to make finals. Just get rid of a few of those close wins last year for Collingwood. They missed finals. I think that'll be the kind of season we have. Not sure about you boys, but go ahead.
All right.
Mace, I'll let
I
you
got
go.
this. Oh, who should I go over first? Collingwood. No, I reckon you guys play finals again, as well. I was discussing with you earlier. I reckon you guys go upwards. Like with all those close wins, all those grind out games, I reckon they just make your side better. And I have them finishing about 5th. Because from all those wins, all those close ones, all the unexpected wins, and the way to finish the season, they're going to go upwards. And with the Cats, I reckon, as you guys said, they can do anything. Like, who knows what they can do? Like, they could go backwards. I don't reckon they will, but I reckon they'll stay right about where they are and play finals again because we love seeing that happen so much. And I've got them picked at finishing 2nd. Because I reckon they're just ridiculous and they're going to pull something out of their ass again.
Not again.
Again.
I'm going to reveal my hand. Collingwood fans, you will hate me on this podcast because I do not like you. I can only hope you don't finish top 8. Unfortunately, my brain tells me you'll somehow do it again and somehow at our expense again. I don't know. I mean, putting all bias aside, I will put it all aside. I love Bo McCreary. If we could see that man get a flag eventually, I'll be happy.
Brodie Grundy traded to Melbourne. Ollie Henry traded to Geelong. Jordan Roughhead retiring. The Brown brothers, both delisted. And our boy, Jack Madgen, delisted.
Imagine.
Future Hall of Famer.
I guess the way I look at it is I do agree with Mason. I do think that the close games you guys won last year are going to do nothing but wonders for your club. I think winning a bunch of close games like that, under 10 points, how can you not improve from that? And I think the only concerns that I would have is the fact that, you're still a side that never really implemented a game plan. So what happens when you do implement it? Yeah, what happens when you do implement something? There was a lot of freedom last year. What happens when he does sort of try to change a few things around? Maybe it doesn't work. Let's see how you guys go. Big news in the off-season for Collingwood. Jack Ginnivan. We've got to talk about it. I always get real shitty with a lot of people judging these young kids anyway, because were you guys not young once before as well? Did you not do dumb shit? Like, sorry that he's a professional footballer. Yes, he has a few more responsibilities that he should have, and he should have been a bit smarter. But at the end of the day, I do agree with Nath. He did nothing wrong. Like, the dude got recorded in a public toilet. Yes, he did. Okay, yes, he didn't.
He did do something wrong, right?
He did do a little bit of the old, But at the end of the day, I kind of look at it and go, he's a kid. He's a kid having fun. Like, I mean, God, put yourself in that position.
That might open up a can of worms. They're professional athletes. There's going to be some sort of sacrifice. Obviously not,
Don't care who I piss off.
Don't sacrifice your social life, but have a bit of fun. Honestly, the drug use stuff though. Yeah,
I won't lie. I don't care. I don't really care who I piss off with it because it's something that I don't care. If you're under a certain age, I just kind of look at it and go, "You're a dumb young kid." That's the way I kind of look at Ginnivan's situation. He's a dumb young kid. He made a dumb decision. He's wearing it now. He'll probably come back and have a dominant season like he did last season. And Godspeed to him.
Did we ever find out who recorded him? Like, was there any repercussions?
Oh, it had to be a mate. Had to be a mate.
Yeah. I don't think a mate's going to go to 7 years and go, I've got footage.
I don't know. We've seen it happen. I think we've seen it happen before where mates have you know, I don't know. I think in the football world, it's a very interesting thing where we don't know whether. I don't know. I think it's one of those things where you don't know who your mates can be after a certain point. Once you start making that money and you get that level of fame, I think certain people just kind of want to tear you down in that aspect.
That's status for you, but maybe a former mate.
Yeah, former
a
mate
mate's
for
not
sure.
a mate's not
Not a mate anymore. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Nice little rant on Jack Ginnivan being a dumb kid at times. But speaking of dumb kids, North Melbourne. North Melbourne.
Speaking
all
of
right,
dumb
let me do the ins
North
and outs.
Melbourne.
Let me do the ins and outs. All right, let me do the ins and
Go
outs.
ahead. I'm gonna love this one from this.
All right. Oh, yeah. All right. So we got for ins, we've got Blake Drury, rookie draft. Hamish Free, rookie draft. Braden George, number 26 draft pick. Cooper Harvey. Oh, nice. Harvey
Father
boy.
son.
Yeah, father son. Daniel Howe, rookie draft.
Yeah.
All right, and then we got Griffin Moneybags Low. We got Harry Sheasel, awesome football name, Sheasel.
Love it.
Liam Shields. Oh, nice. And then the trucker, he's all right. I don't mind you. And then George Wardlow.
I'm just going to ask you a question off the bat. What do you think of Moneybags leaving?
Like, I get it, but like, come on, man, to North. Like that's pretty much that's it. It's like I get it. You wanted to play your position more, and you got those big stacks, but North.
No.
Come on.
Did anyone see the comment he made? I think it was a few weeks ago where he basically said, he was they weren't training hard. That was basically the gist of his comment.
No, was it about the team or himself?
I think it was himself, but it was more like, yeah, but it's the way I kind of look at it is you still should make that comment.
He's got stacks, man. He's got stacks. He's happy. I mean, all the best to him. I'm not going to hate on him, but like, you should have just went the journey with us, bro. Come on.
The journey.
The good thing, I guess, we will see will be Tucker should get some more games.
Yeah,
that'll be good to see.
That's good.
I'd say, given their history with guys like Coleman Jones and Stevenson in and out at times,
it's a good call.
Yeah. I didn't rate Tucker at Freo though. North Melbourne's outs include the dog himself, Jason Horne-Francis, Tom Lynch retiring, Jed Anderson delisted now at Gold Coast, Jared Pollock delisted, JD's boy Josh Walker delisted. I'm going to say his surname here, Atu Bosnafalagi delisted. That's what happens when you used to play for Collingwood. I know your surname inside out. A lot of not depth, but they're trying to go up the ladder. They have to get rid of people. They got youngsters in. You don't expect much from them in 2023, maybe for the next few years. I can't see him finishing in a bottom two for the fourth season in a row, though.
I think I've said from pretty much day dot that I think that you used to say this to me, Mason, Nath, back in the day. Out of the bottom two, still bottom five.
I was like to JD when under Teague, I thought you're not going to finish bottom four, but you're still going to be a bottom six side. I think with North, not bottom two, definitely under Clarko, because Clarko's never won a wooden spoon. I don't think he's ever going to win a wooden spoon, but still in that bottom four, bottom six echelon. They'll do what they did last year. They'll get a couple of good wins here and there. I think they'll probably beat Collingwood at some stage in 2023. Clarko's got a good record against Collingwood. No real major expectations. If they get an All-Australian selection from one player, that'd be great. Something to build off, whether it's someone like Nick Larkey down forward or Davies Uniacke in the midfield or Logue in the fence. But
no, I reckon it could happen. I'll just say like where I reckon that finish. They're pretty much the same as you. I got them about 15th. So yeah, they're not going to be wooden spooners, but they're not going to skyrocket up the ladder. That's for sure. But come back to this in 6 months, and I'll be wrong. And
I was going to say, come back to this, and we're all wrong. And Clarko's on his track for his first wooden spoon.
They've got West Coast round one. That is a block.
What a game! What an awful game!
West Coast Inns, they've got Jaden Hunt in free agency. Good mindset, good move from Jaden Hunt. Next 3 years at West Coast, expanding his career. Draftees, Gindy, Hewitt, and Barnett's. Good selections as well.
Yeah.
They
Oh, yeah.
finally hit the draft, West Coast, after all these years. Their outs include Josh Kennedy and Redden to retirement, Junior Rioli traded to Port, and they've delisted Langdon, Patrick Naish, and their whipping boy Jackson Nelson. Meso, I want to hear from you the goss going on with West Coast in Perth. We didn't really introduce ourselves and where we're from. Myself and JD are in Victoria, and Meso is in a cave somewhere in WA.
Yep.
So what's the goss on West Coast?
Well, it's not all negative, to be honest. Like, they're actually being pumped up by the worst Australian.
As always.
That's the West Australian, though.
Yeah, the media hasn't gone in on them. They've been talked up a bit, but like I don't know what the fans actually expect. I think there's going to be fans that always expect them to play finals, and then there's some fans that are a bit more realistic and realize that they're in a bit of a strife. I reckon they need to finish low again and go back to the draft. They need to do that 1 or 2 more times, because this list is aging and they're all starting to get niggling injuries, and they have no youngsters coming up outside of the new draftees that are actually like B or A-list players. I reckon the majority of the youngsters are about your C grade, D grade players.
Campbell Chesser as well. We didn't play a game last year. He's kind of like a new recruit.
Yeah, well, I wonder about him because he's pacey. They expected good things out of him. And yeah, we'll come to see that. Oscar Allen's expected to have his breakout season. But I wonder how he's going to go, because he's been injured a whole bunch. So, you know, the rustiness and whatnot. And then they might be making him the key forward. And I don't know if he's ready for that. You know, he's probably going to prove me wrong. I don't know. Okay.
I'm going to say he won't kick 50 goals this season. I think he'll have a solid first year as a key forward in the post-Kennedy era. I'm not sure how Darling's going to go without his big brother in Kennedy.
Fuck, I dropped it. Fuck. Sorry, boys. We dropped the mark in the square. Sorry.
JD's whipping boy, Jack Darling.
I did want to. I was actually going to try and stay quiet through the whole West Coast thing, because I was just going to let you guys go. But one thing I have to say is, God, I do not like Jack Darling.
You don't like him flipping around?
Oh, but I've just never known a guy with so much hype to do so little.
I mean, West Coast fans are going to tear you apart and bring up his goals.
I fully expect to be the most hated member of this team.
Yeah, come April, JD is going to get jumped by West Coast fans in Victoria.
I'm going to get jumped by every fan from what I'm feeling. I'm going to have to stop wearing beanies and sunglasses in public.
Just with their history of rebuilds. So early 2000s, they spent 2 years in the bottom 4. They bounced back in 2002. The next 6 seasons, made finals. They won a flag in that time. 2008 to 2010, bottom 4, kind of, I think, wooden spoon in 2010. Then they bounced back under Worsfold. 2011, finished top 4. I think there's going to be that era for West Coast. They're going to be in the bottom 4 again, maybe this year and next year. Some people are saying Adam Simpson could be, sacked this year if they have another season. If they get to the halfway stage without a win, or maybe one win, and they're cellar dwellers, the laughing stock, then I can see that happening. But I think as a premiership coach, he's got tenure, he's got time. Give him a chance to have a rebuild.
They're not going to give him a chance. They're not going to give him a chance.
Which actually, I can understand that point, given it's West Coast. They're probably the biggest interstate side in the comp, maybe in the league.
Well, they are. I mean, look at their
absolutely. Yeah, they're massive.
Because you might find that he may, if it does get to that point, it might just end up going the way where it's like, well, we'll mutually part ways. We've seen that happen.
That's what I reckon could happen, where it may not happen mid-season, but maybe to at the end of the home and away season.
I think if he leaves, that would be the way he probably leaves, is a mutual decision. Let's be honest, I mean, off the top of my head, are there any clubs that you guys could think of that this year look like they could lose a coach? Is Port still Is Ken
Yeah,
signed
Paul,
on, or
yeah.
Well, I guess it's a good segue. I'm going to tip North by about 3 goals. I reckon they'll get the first win of the season.
Absolutely.
yeah, Sam?
We'll get into Port Adelaide, Brisbane. Port Adelaide's in Horn Francis, Rioli,
What
Francis
a segue.
Evans. Francis Evans. I bring him up because as a key forward from Geelong, bit of depth there. Port Adelaide's out. Sorry, Robbie Crate. Sorry, Stephen Motlop retiring. Carl Amon, free agency to Hawthorn. Marty Frederick delisted and Sam Mays delisted for good reasons. He was the reason why Adelaide beat them after the siren in round 3. Future out, Ken Hinkley.
Hey, I'll get a quick story for you. So Carlton versus Port round 6. Nathan turns to me at halftime and is convinced this might be the last game we ever see Ken Hinkley coach. He was convinced. But I tell you what, Ken's like a cat with 9 lives. He's clinging on for dear life. I do agree, though. I do think this will be the year, unfortunately, that Ken's gone. I do not have Port shooting up the ladder at all. I think they stay around the same mark.
I've got them shooting up the ladder,
I've got them up as well.
But not a top 4 side. I think they will fall in the first week of finals or second week of finals. And that's still going to be enough for the board to say to Ken Hinkley, look, we don't see her being a premiership coach for us. But
shooting up the ladder, staying where they are.
Did you say 0-5?
They won't be 0-5. They'll bounce back.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't have them 0-5, but I have them roughly staying around the same mark. They didn't, by the end of the year, they didn't have as bad as a season as everyone thought. They won enough games by the end of the year to really only sort of just miss out on finals. Don't get me wrong, they still were a few games out. Give them those 1 or 2 more games in, like 1 or 2 more games. They still miss out. That's where I have them.
All right. Well, I've got them finishing 6th. I reckon they'll finish 6th and then just get eliminated in the first week. And then, that would be it for the Hinkster. He's gone. The Bond villain. He's out of here.
Out you go, Hink.
That's the vibe as well with Port Adelaide fans. It's either premiership or bust.
They just fall to crap when they play finals. I just don't get it. Like
it's not even this year. It's their entire
every year. Yeah. And I just don't get it. Like whenever it comes to finals time, it just doesn't work. And so I think new coach for sure. I think new coach for West Coast as well. But we'll see if that actually happens.
So basically, what you're saying is this is the battle of 2 teams by the end of the year that will just have no coaches. Let's see.
The governor's captain coach.
2024, Tom Jonas, playing coach.
Ollie Wines. Ollie Wines is coach.
Ollie Wines is coach.
Oh.
Port Adelaide host the mighty Brisbane Lions. They're in.
Oy.
Josh Dunkley, Jack Gunston, and oh my God, these father-son picks. Ashcroft, Fletcher, Dow White. And they've also got Connor McKenna and Derek Joyce. They're just filling positional needs. Their outs include McStay, Robinson, and Berry. They're my premiership favourites. They're going to at least get to the grand final. Kind of like Port Adelaide of recent years. They kind of falter in finals. They broke their MCG hoodoo in the semi-finals. They got them annihilated against Geelong, but to break the MCG hoodoo, they've got to have some sort of confidence from beating Melbourne at the G. It's theirs, not theirs to lose, but kind of is premiership or bust, unless they want to have that Geelong route where they want to stay up top for a long time but not have much success over that time. But
I was just going to say, it couldn't agree more. I think, like I was saying about Carlton, it's all or bust this year for Brisbane. You can't, with that list, with the need, like you sort of said, Dave, the needs they've filled, the roles they've filled, all or bust. You have to win a flag this year. You've been thereabouts for 5 years now. This is the year you've got to take that next step. If you don't, what's it all for?
They've got co-captains this year in Lockie Neal and Harris Andrews. Bit of a different route to other sides. Under that key bit of news, though, Chris Fagan extending for another 2 years. What do we think about that?
Before it's all cleared up, but then again, it's never going to be cleared up. It's pretty much swept under the table.
It kind of, yeah, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but kind of get the sense that maybe Fagan's in the clear in that sense with the investigation, but Clarko not so much.
Possibly.
It's an interesting one. I mean, it's definitely a watch this space. I think you don't know where it ends up because at the end of the day, they could have signed Fagan for nothing. What if he is? I mean, we don't know what happens from here on out. He could end up getting charged. The next thing you know, he's out as Brisbane coach, and they've, and I believe we'd have to look this up, but I believe he would have to be paid out at that point as well. So, kind of interesting, sort of.
That's a good
point. Well, it's interesting. Would it be potentially? I mean, we don't know. There could be a clause in this contract that says if there's something to do with it, maybe they don't have to. Who knows? Let's. It's definitely a watch this space with that one.
I know Rats got paid out 6 months, not the whole 2-year extension.
I think that's the way it works. I think it actually works in that way. You don't have to pay out whole extensions, but again, we don't know the ins and outs of the contract. We won't know it unless something happens either.
And I don't think Brisbane's that stupid to do that. And then, like a few weeks later, for example, it turns out Fagan has been pinged or charged or is guilty of it.
Yeah.
No, to be fair, Brisbane they signed Fev to a big deal for 1 year. And look how that went.
I'm not saying that was a 3-year deal from memory.
Yeah, so I don't think they're that stupid. I think they know what's going on. I think they realise Fagan could be the guy, and it could be
the way. I think we all the way Brisbane's an easy one. I'd say for all three of us, Brisbane are going far this year.
But as far as this game goes against Port at Adelaide Oval,
this is interesting.
Yeah, it's tough.
You say it's funny. We all have Brisbane going far this year, but I tell you what, no idea what happens in this game.
Because, as I was saying earlier, Port is great in season. Like, they're great in season. They're a force, and they can be. But, come finals, they just go to crap. Brisbane, they have underachieved. Which is weird to say coming from a Fremantle fan. I want them to get to a grand final. At least. At the bare minimum, get to a grand final.
There's no bare minimum to get to a grand final. You get to a grand final, you better bloody win the whole thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't just get there.
You can't cockroach your way to a grand final.
Or you can.
Okay, you could, but you better win the whole thing. I'm just happy to be here. 87 points down or whatever.
Well, that's what I feel may happen though. They may just go, "Yeah, I'm happy to be here."
Better not. I'll go Brisbane by 8 points. Could be anyone's game though.
I'll go Port because Adelaide Oval is, baloney. They always seem to turn up there, and they usually get the rub of the green. So I'm going to go Port by a goal, maybe 2 goals.
John, tiebreaker.
I'll probably go Brisbane.
Melbourne's another premiership favourite, yet again. Their ins, Brodie Grundy, Lockie Hunter, Josh Shackey, good draftee in Matthew Jefferson. They've got their key forward depth, or the youngsters as their key forwards, with Jefferson and Van Rooyen. So when McDonald goes down or Brown's inconsistent, Wiedemann's been traded out. That's a good segue as well.
To me, it's it probably shaved a little bit of the fat off and getting rid of Wiedemann, because they always had that question of, will he take the next level? Will he go to the next level? At least now with a fresh young kid, don't have to worry about it as much.
Whether it's Van Rooyen or Jefferson, they've 2 players that they rate. Their outs include Jackson to Freo, Bedford to the Giants, Wiedemann obviously to Essendon, Hunt, free agency to West Coast, Mitch Brown, delisted or retired, Majak Daw also retiring, and Oscar Baker, preseason drafts to the Dogs. Here's a good stat for you. Melbourne have been inside the top 4 for 46 consecutive rounds. So from round 1 to 23 in 2021, top 4. Round 1 to 23 last year, top 4. 39 of those weeks they've been top 2. Let's talk about Graundy or Grawn.
Ooh-wee.
It looks scary, that's for sure.
It looks like it is paying dividends.
And I do have a bit of discussion or a thought on this.
Mm.
Because I don't think Melbourne realised Grundy doesn't play well in a combo. Grundy plays well as a solo ruck. He also doesn't play well as a forward, yet he kicked 3 goals as a forward. He also wasn't good at filling holes in the back line, but he is good at getting 20-odd disposals and a shitload of tackles, almost like a fifth midfielder, if you will.
Yeah.
I do want to see him back to his best. I really do. He is a freak of nature at his best. Him and Gawn could be better than Gawn and Jackson. I've got Melbourne finishing top 4 yet again, and I think they'll be top 4 by the end of round 1, which will be 47 consecutive rounds in a row in the top 4. I think they'll beat the Dogs by 5 goals. We'll touch on the Dogs in a bit. But Meso, what do you think about the D's in 2023?
I reckon they're going to be back to their unstoppable best. They've got 2 good wingers now that are actually reliable. They've got some more depth. They got that crazy good ruck combo that I reckon both of our teams got the best out of that in terms of I reckon as you said, I don't think Gawn Jackson's as good as Jackson Darcy. I think they work off each other better, if you get what I mean.
I think they'll both be they'll be on the same level. I don't think anyone's going to stand out. Yeah, if Grundy doesn't work out, then you'll know why, because he doesn't work well in a combo, or it could be his injury concerns still, or he can't play well outside of the ruck. But
I feel like they're going to utilize him to the maximum. Like, surely they've got to have done their homework before doing this monster deal. And for that, I have them finishing top of the ladder this year.
Fair enough.
I reckon they're going to be back to the scary monster that they were a couple of years ago.
Dogs ins include Rory Lobb, Liam Jones on a 3-year deal. He's 45 years old. Oscar Baker in the preseason draft from Melbourne. They got Jed Bustlinger, key defender from WA in the draft. A lot of key forwards, a lot of key defenders. Their outs include Josh Dunkley, Lockie Hunter. So the midfield has been decimated, but it's taken a bit of a hit. Josh Shackey traded to the D's. Zane Cordy, free agency to St Kilda. Stephen Martin retiring, and Mitch Wallace delisted. Everyone, there's always a slider. They don't have to finish in the bottom 2 or whatever, but I think a lot of people are predicting the Dogs to have a slide, and that's me as well. Dogs fans don't like it, but I don't give a fuck. Living in Footscray, I'll scream it from my balcony. They will finish in the bottom 6. I'll be a targeted man working in Footscray. I don't care.
I'm not the most hated person in Footscray.
Where have you got them, Nath? Where have you got them?
I've got the Dogs finishing, I'd say 13th. I don't think they'll have their defence or their forward line worked out in time to have it all click. And obviously the midfield depth being tested. They've got Bonds, McRae, Libba, Bailey Smith. I hope he gets to his best, but outside of that, there's not really much to go off. So I've got the Dogs finishing 13th, and I think they'll lose by a fair margin in round 1.
The inside word from Dogs fans is Carlton fans will be annoyed at how well Liam Jones will play. But again, Nath, you said he's 45 years old for 3 years.
3 years, too.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I do think they've also got a couple conundrums in that time, because they've got a lot of players who can fit into various spots who may not play in those spots. And we've seen how that happens. If that happens, we've seen a lot of players leave from things like that. So,
case in point, Josh Shackey to the D's.
There you go. So I do think it's possible that unfortunately for the Dogs, if they don't work out some of these positions that they're worried about so far, who knows what we end up in a couple of years. I do think this is the year finally, like, I shouldn't say finally, but I do think the Dogs have been hanging on since about 2015. They've won a flag in that time, but I do think they've just been sort of thereabouts for that entire time. I don't think Beveridge has really pushed the side post 2017 to like, don't get me wrong, and I'm saying this is a side who made a grand final. Like, I just don't think even going into that grand final they really had a chance. It's as controversial as that probably is. Looking back on it, it's probably one of those things that we look back on now and go, you know what, the D's were unstoppable heading into that grand final. There was like it had to take a monster effort from the Dogs to get over that hump. So going forward a little bit, they've been dropping for years. I sort of thought that 2021 was the outlier. I thought it was a bit of a weird year that they actually made it that far. So I have them sort of dropping again. And I like the Dogs. I love the Dogs. I think they're one of those sides that I love to see play. I love the way they do play. Unfortunately, I got them dropping again. I got them dropping further this year.
I agree with both you boys. I just don't see. They've got too many tolls. They've got too many tolls everywhere. Like they got too many tall forwards. They got too many tall defenders. And like, how do you fit it all in? Like, like who's playing? Like Jamara Ugle. Like where you putting the Lobster? Where you putting where you got
Josh Bruce is down back now.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, like Tim English. Like,
See, I hadn't even taken into consideration that they got to somehow get Timmy English into that forward line as well.
Yeah, it's just anarchy, and like the Lobster is not going to rock. He's not going to rock.
He's allergic to it.
Yeah, that's his reaction to rocking. So, yeah, I have them exploding. There's just going to be anarchy in the back and the forward, and there's going to be no connection.
And it's amazing because they could realistically have the rising star this year as well. I'm going to forget his name. I'm going to get absolutely reamed.
Darcy.
Darcy.
Oh,
Darcy.
Yeah. See, I forgot about him as well. Another tall boy.
Darcy's the one that I'm a bit concerned about because Darcy, they don't know where to play him already. There's been discussions about forward. There's been discussions about back. You got to find this kid a spot because this kid is money.
Yeah, so I have them absolutely falling down to like 16. I have them. I have a massive drop for these boys.
You have them from in the 8 to 6. That's 8 spots.
Hey, no. To be fair, that's what happened to Essendon last year, so it could happen.
Fair enough.
I'm being generous on the Dogs though.
They could be swapped around with a few of my teams. I honestly, yes, but they're gonna have a massive drop. So 16 to like 13 is where I have them.
That's a good range.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they got a lot to work out before we start looking at them as a premiership side again.
I don't think they can do it. Yeah,
it's pretty clear. The Western Bulldogs are all coffee and no sugar. You'll love these analogies.
How many of these have you written down?
I actually haven't written them down. These have just been perfect segues and comparisons and.
Well, how have you segued this? I want to hear this segue.
There's no segue for the Gold Coast Suns. Now, before we get into the Gold Coast Suns, we have to mention this because going forward, we don't want to be taken down for any legal reasons. Their stadium is now called Heritage Bank Stadium, so do not call it Metricon.
Okay, so Heritage Bank Stadium.
Yeah,
HBS.
Let's just call it the HBS.
Kind of like HIV, but HBS.
I was thinking more HSP, but that's okay. Fair enough.
No, HBS. Not like
HBS
HSP.
Stadium. I'm writing it down now so we don't get sued.
No, they always start with a good draft. They always started with a good draft hand, and then
they confuse me, this club.
I love me some Gold Coast.
Anyway, Ben Long, Tom Berry traded in. They got Jake Stein, Connor Blakely in the rookie draft. Remember him, Mason?
Mr. Surfing Man. Yeah.
Surfing on the Gold Coast now. Jed Anderson, preseason draft. Pick 6, Bailey Humphrey. Good selection, that one. They're out. Isaac Rankins, Adelaide. Jack Bowes to Geelong. Josh Corbett to Freo. Oleg Markov, delisted, now at Collingwood. Was at Carlton, back at Collingwood. And I have to mention this as well. Rory Thompson retiring. I have to bring it up because he's one of the OGs at Gold Coast. Was on their 2011 list. He's retired after all these years. Don't know the rest of the Silver Chair lyrics, but he retired. They're pretty good at home. It's a bit of a daunting challenge to play Gold Coast, given their conditions. They are playing Sydney, though. How do you boys think Gold Coast will go this year? Do you think... No, I don't think it's the year they make finals, but it's the year they will go above 12th and have 10 or more wins, but not play finals. Push for it, but not play finals.
I have an interesting thing that I definitely think that at some point this is going to be brought up. I think that we should discuss it at length throughout this at some point of the season. What do you boys think of Stewie Do? Like, what do you actually think? What do you think of his Game style, what do you think of his? Like, is this the guy that's going to take Gold Coast to a final?
I think he can. Not a flag.
Yeah.
I think he's got enough players to take him there. But if they drop off, if they're a bottom 2 side or a bottom 4 side again, then that extension was for nothing. And then
you've got to. He can't. To me, he can't stay if they finish bottom 4.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't. I mean, I hate being a Carlton fan. Being a Carlton fan, I hate sacking coaches. I've been through too much in the last 5-6 years. Sacking coaches doesn't work. You don't get anywhere from sacking someone. You've got to sit someone in the role for a long time. So, me to say he can't stay, like, I do look at it like Stewie Doo's had his chances. I do think if he doesn't do anything with it this year, like if he doesn't show any improvement, like you said, Nate, what's it all for? Like, what's the extension for?
I reckon there's going to be improvement from him. I don't know. Maybe it's my soft spot for Gold Coast, but I reckon they're going to see.
They feed your club.
Like, Chol's been good. Chol's been real good at the Gold Coast.
And Casbolt has filled their need.
He's been a good marking target for him. And
obviously not kicking straight, but yeah.
But still, like, yeah, as I said, I reckon upwards for them, not finals just yet. Hopefully Rowley gets back to his best. I'd love to see that.
I think he's the only major player out of contract at Gold Coast. Everyone else has re-signed, which is a good thing as well for their culture. So if they do drop off a bit, then they've still got the players. Obviously, they need a good draft hand and don't mess up the trade period.
Yeah, they actually need to do something on the trade. So yeah, I have them about 10th.
I actually want to go in depth on Sydney, so sorry to take over on this one. Aaron Francis in, Constanti and Vickery as their draftees in. Their outs include Kennedy and Sinclair retiring. They've delisted a bit of their depth in Naismith, Lewis Taylor, and Ben Ronke, the guy who kicked 7 goals against Hawthorn all those years ago. Now, the last 30 years, we have seen, surprisingly, a lot of blowout grand finals. And obviously last year, case in point, Sydney losing by 81 points. 19 of the last 30 or 31 grand finals, if you include the draw grand final, have been by over 40 points. Over 30 points. The last team to win a final, having lost the previous grand final by over 40 points, was Geelong in 1995. And then they got smashed in the 1995 grand final. Sydney are the only side in the last 28 or 30 odd years to finish in the top 4, yet get knocked down, having been smashed in the previous grand final, but get knocked down straight sets. There is a hoodoo. I know the media have brought it up recently. Teams that get flogged in the grand final do terrible. I was going to say shit, but terrible the next year. That's why a lot of people have Sydney having a bit of a dip. Now, I mentioned Sydney finishing top 4 in 2015, having been smashed in 2014, under John Longmire. So he's got a bit of a habit of, recalibrating, rejuvenating the list, having been smashed in the grand final. And I think it's going to happen again, but I don't think it's going to lead to a premiership or another grand final appearance. I think they'll drop off a bit. Their list is just too young and too good. And they got Errol Golden, who's going to be one of the best kicks in the game. Chad Warner, his upside is
40s in the 40 disposal games in a preseason game.
One of the all-time great preseason games. Chad Warner, his upside is anything. Logan McDonald could be anything. He needs to get it right. He needs to be a little bit more consistent. The McCartan boys down back. Aaron Francis provides a bit of depth down back. Assist Dane Rampy, no longer playing on a tall defender. Their list, I think they're going to be fine. I don't think they're going to drop off dramatically or drastically. But they're a bit of a wild card in terms of premiership contention in 2023.
Yeah. Well, they were this year, I'd say.
Yeah, in terms of this game against Gold Coast, as well, it's a bit of a wild card because Gold Coast have got the jump on them. And not just at home, but in Sydney. Gold Coast can beat Sydney in Sydney. And Gold Coast play well to start the season. So
I would also argue that Sydney, don't get me wrong, powerhouse side, but they also drop a lot of games in that first half of the season as opposed to that later half of the season. So you're going to see games dropped. It's going to be early on. So, it's a good point that realistic. And if Gold Coast is the measure, who's to say that they don't just get past them?
Buddy Franklin in his final year, surely. McDonald has to get it right. McLean, bit of a Rory Lobb kind of guy. Just, you know where he's going to fit in the ruck or down forward. Again, I think their playing list is fine. It's going to be all mental. But it's going to be on them. If they drop off, it's on them. It's not because of everyone else figuring them out.
I'll give Sydney the rub. I'll give Sydney.
Yeah, I'd agree with Mace. I think it's Sydney until, I mean, let's be honest. No, we're probably not going to tip Gold Coast, but it's like you sort of said, Mace. It's Nath. It's every possibility they somehow pull it out.
Yeah. So I've got Sydney winning by about 11 points. And speaking of Sydney, Greater Western Sydney hosting Adelaide.
Transition.
GWS, Therians, Toby Bedford traded in from Melbourne, but he's going to be 50-50 for round one. 4 picks in the top 25. Aaron Cadman, pick 1. Ralston, Darcy Jones, not Burn Jones, just Darcy Jones. And I can't pronounce his surname. Max Krasuski, whatever. Category B rookie, Jason Gilby. I think Jay Gilby or whatever. I've written that down.
Jason Gillespie?
The milkman, the guy that drinks milk.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
okay,
the milkman.
Yeah.
Actually, no, to be fair, Cold hero. Love him already. Signed that guy for 10 years.
Which, by the way, eligible to be a boy. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Kid.
GWS is out. Taranto, Hopper, Bobby Hill, Tanner Bruin all being traded out. And they delisted a bit of their depth in Brander, Jake Stein or Steen. He's at Gold Coast. Zach Sproul delisted. No one knows who he is. And Meso's boy, Matt DeBoer, retiring. So I love their depth and I love their key players out. I understand why people have got the Giants finishing near the bottom. In some cases, the wooden spoon. In terms of the bottom 4, everyone's predicting. I think the Giants have the best top-end talent.
They do. I would agree with that. Yeah, I'd agree.
Which is probably why I don't have the Giants finishing as low as everyone thinks. What do you boys think?
Oh,
I'll
go first. Just because I don't like them, I have them at 17.
The orange team.
They're just yuck.
Orange team bad.
Who cares how they do, to be honest? Yeah, all 10 of the fans are going to get angry at me, but who cares? Like, you've got a grub as your captain. Like,
Am I the only one that actually purely rates that decision? They needed a bit of mongrel about them. Like he is
more?
The perfect. No, well, I'm also mean like I don't know. I don't. Well, how do I put it? Realistically, the mongrel only comes from him. The mongrel only comes from him. So, a bit of the rest of the team does need to follow suit. You need a bit of anger in the rest of the team. I heard a quote the other day talk about Geelong I think it was Essendon talking about it and talking about how realistically Geelong are one of the best sides because they have a bit of viciousness about them. They're a vicious side. That's something that helps push aside. And I do think having Toby, who realistically is somebody who doesn't really, he plays by the rules, but doesn't always play by the rules. I do think it's something that does benefit them, as weird as it sounds. I do agree with you, Nath. I do think that their top-end talent keeps them off the bottom. And I want to throw another point into the ring and say that realistically, new coach, more freedom, less likely to finish bottom in that sense as well. But I don't think any of us can deny there is every chance they finish dead last this year.
Yeah, every chance. Yeah, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I reckon I've got them about 16th.
I don't see GWS having back-to-back number 1 picks.
No. Well, it hasn't stopped them from before.
They just trade into it.
They're playing Adelaide early Sunday, Arvo. I'm going to wake up early for this one. Isaac Rankin traded in from Gold Coast. Max Michelini. I am terrible with these surnames. He's a father-son pick, but his father played Sandford, never played AFL, so not controversial. Like, no one gives a shit. Tyler Brown and Mark Keane, former Collingwood boys, picked up in the preseason draft. Adelaide's out. Billy Frampton to Collingwood. Luke Brown retiring. Fisher McCarthy retiring. Bit weird. And James Rowe. McCarthy retiring, and James Rowe delisted. Adelaide's in their 4th year of their rebuild. Matty Nix has extended for another couple of years. I guess we're in the 2020s. No one's got any patience. No one wants to invest in anything unless it's crypto. Adelaide's in their 4th year of their rebuild. And I think their fans, I think people are starting to realise, hey, when are you going to make finals? They've got a decent young list. They got Tex Walker and Rory Sloane still being their veterans, but they also want to replace Sloane and Tex Walker as soon as possible. I think they realise that as well, Sloane and Walker. I think they're going to be like Gold Coast. I think they'll finally get out of the bottom 4, bottom 6 regularly, but I don't think they'll play finals. But that's about it. I don't have much else to say about Adelaide.
I reckon they're going to destroy GWS. Like the first few games are going to come out and just tear teams apart. Like that, as I said before, if the preseason games transition to the full season, the pressure side was giving me like flashbacks of prime Richmond at points.
Yeah. You've probably been more positive about this than we have. Just I don't really care about this one.
I mean, like, yeah, so I've got them shooting up a bit. Like, they're coming to the end of their rebuild. They're starting to come good. They're not going to play finals for a couple of years, but I reckon they'll finish about 11.
No opinion.
Ooh.
That's how little I think of them. Nah, to be fair, all right, you want my opinion on them? Dud club, going to finish dud level again. Not going to do anything. Poke them with a stick. Are you still alive?
People in Adelaide or Adelaide supporters listening to this and just going, yeah, I'm not listening to you guys anymore. More interesting.
I've shoved away the Adelaide fans, but to be fair, I don't care. Hey, stick around. You can hate me if you want.
One thing for the Adelaide fans, I don't mind you guys, but stop booing so loud. You're like as bad as West Coast at times, all right? So just chill out a bit.
My prediction as well, Kelly Underwood will commentate GWS v Adelaide.
Oh, another reason not to watch it.
My God. Hawthorn. All right. Interesting ins and outs this one. Carl Amon in free agency. Cooper Stevens. Lloyd Meek traded in. Fergus Green picked up into listed free agency. Good on him. Fergus Green. Mackenzie. I have butchered the writing on this one. I'll cross him out. Josh Weddle. Hustwaite as well drafted in. Gotten rid of their experience. Gunston, Mitchell, O'Meara traded out. McAvoy retiring. Shields and Howe both at North Melbourne. They delisted Tom Phillips. Collingwood gave Hawthorn Tom Phillips for nothing. And what did you do with it? Nothing. And my boy, Carl Hardigan, delisted.
Who is your spoon prediction?
Good little segue. Essendon is my wooden spoon prediction.
Wow.
And Meso, so I spoke to Meso before we started. I go, I've looked at everyone's season predictions. I'm going, you know what? Everyone's got the same wooden spoon prediction. I'm going to go a little bit different. And I'm going to go Essendon as my wooden spoon prediction. Their ends are Setterfield and Wiedemann. Case in point, wooden spoon. Good draftees, though. Sadis at pick 5. Lewis Hayes, key defender, who will probably be their main defender. Alwyn Davey Jr., Jaden Davey as their father-son picks, and Anthony Munkura as their Category B selection or rookie. I rate Anthony Munkura. Their outs include Aaron Francis to Sydney, Hurley and Smith retiring, Alec Waterman delisted, Braden Ham, Tom Cutler, Tom Hurd, Josh Iyer all delisted. Brad Scott. Now, I will defend Brad Scott a bit. I can't believe I'm defending Brad Scott. Of all
I was going to say, have fun.
His home and away record is not that good. But when it comes to he's only played in 4 final series, but he's made it prelims twice. So there's an edge to him when it comes to finals. And I think that's why they've got Brad Scott. And I think that's what Essendon wants. They want that edge in finals. And that's what Brad Scott will deliver. Essendon have not finished in the top 6 since 2002. Is Brad Scott the man for that? I don't know. But when it comes to an edge and winning a final, the meme of Essendon not winning a final since 2004, Brad Scott could be the guy, but it's not going to happen this year. But I don't see Brad Scott taking him far in the next few years. I do rate their youngsters, but it's going to take a bit of time, kind of like North Melbourne. They're not going to bottom out like a North Melbourne, but I think they will be the wooden spooners of 2023.
Oh, that's harsh.
But, I think whoever finishes, well, I've got Essendon finishing last, they will have 6 wins as the bottom place side, meaning they'll have one of the best records of all time to finish as a wooden spoon.
Wow, yeah.
I'm going to call this game right now. Hawthorn v Essendon is the Harley Reid Cup. I'm putting my name on this right now. Hawthorn v Essendon, round 1. The reason for this, they don't play each other again later in the year, so I'm calling it now. The loser of this game will be the wooden spoon of 2023, and I think Essendon will lose this game. Hawthorn will win by a few goals. Besides that, I don't care. You boys, what do you boys think?
All right, well, yeah, I've got Hawks finishing last. I just don't see them doing, well at all with their list and all their outs. I understand that he's going for a rebuild. Have they declared a rebuild?
Oh,
They've declared.
I
They're
think
open
they
about their
declared that when they
rebuild.
sacked Clarko.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so
And I
they're
think-
open about it. Yeah.
yeah.
They need the top. They need some more draft picks then to bolster up that list and whatnot. Bombers. I have no clue. I never have any clue. I can't tell.
You
when,
don't. You can't. You
Yeah,
can't.
like you expect them to win a game and then they lose. You expect them to lose, they win, and you're just like, what's going on? And like, I don't know how much of a difference Brad Scott's going to make. He went freaking amazing with North Melbourne, so let's see how he goes with the Bombers.
Did get him to a prelim at least.
I mean, like, I put them at 12th, and that's being.
Hey, John,
nice.
how you going in prelims? That's right. Shut up. I can't believe I'm defending Brad Scott.
But that's
What's with the?
yeah.
But, yeah, I was gonna say, what's with the Brad Scott defense?
I just don't have any hopes for either team, and I don't know with the Bombers. It's up to them. They've got all the talent there, but it's just how they play.
I think Hawthorn's got better youngsters than Essendon. I really do.
Well, yes, but I think Bombers players have had more time to mature, obviously. So at this point in time, they're better.
Yeah.
But the Hawthorn players will eclipse them in a couple of years.
JD, I'm
Nothing
sorry I'm
game.
hurting your feelings, but yeah.
No, I was just gonna say nothing game, which is always fun early in the season. Like a game that you already earmarked as two teams that should be down the bottom. I agree with Mason wholeheartedly. I do not think you can put Essendon dead last because of a couple of games purely. Essendon Carlton, anything happens. Essendon Collingwood, anything happens. For some reason, these, you know what I mean? These games, those Essendon somehow manages to turn up. So for that point alone, I somehow have them finishing off the bottom. But and I do actually agree. I do think Hawthorn probably finishes bottom this year. Same reason as everyone else. I think it's the depth is gone. There is no. They really North Melbourne themselves.
Yeah.
In terms of they got rid of a lot of depth and a lot of experience for not a lot to come back in. Let's see how they go. Yeah,
Clarko never won a spoon. Hawthorn haven't won a spoon since, again, 64, 65. It's typically one of those two as the safe bet. And then I just go, you know what, Essendon. Because I don't like Essendon, but... All right, we've got the main event, but we have to touch on St Kilda first as they take on Freo. St Kilda's ins, and it's a big one. Zane Cordy in free agency.
Zane, what an in.
What an in, but their draftees are pretty good. Philippo.
Yeah, I do rate their draftees.
James Van Ees, that's his actual name, Van Ees. A lot of bargain picks in Ollie Houghton and Isaac Keeler.
Just that middle of the table team where they'll push finals, they'll push a lot of teams as well. Probably beat a few teams that are in the 8. Probably get talked about at various points of the season to play finals. Ultimately miss out by a few games or a game or two. I just don't see them as the side that... It's probably like a Carlton. I'm sure St Kilda fans would probably turn around and tell us what we're missing. But like Carlton, it's that sort of thing where people are saying where I don't see where the improvement's coming from. I don't see them. They haven't really added to anything. I don't know. St Kilda are a weird team to gauge most years. And I think this is just another year of gauging them very oddly. And it's just they're a middle team.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So, pretty much same stuff. I don't know why they've put Messiah pretty much on Ross Lyon. This team has to go back a couple of steps before it can go forward. They have no it player. They have no X factor about them. Outside Maxi
Oh.
King, but he's injured like every other freaking week. The poor bastard. So like they need more of those players that can change a game, and they don't have many, if any. Where's it going to come through? Where's the improvement going to come through from? Like half the players look like they've already hit their ceiling. If you know what I mean, like
that is a statement that you can take to the bank. So many of their players, I reckon, hit their ceilings years ago at St Kilda. And I do not think there is much more that they're going to do. They're going to find a way to go further. We could be completely wrong. But at the end of the day, I do not think any of those players are really going to find a way to go to the next level. Can you guys want to sit there and say, you know who's somebody I think is going to go to the next level? Jack Billings. And that's someone they need to go to the next level.
I just don't see where it's going to come from. So, yeah.
Let's move to the main event. Let's move to it.
Our out, sadly, is Old Man Monday.
I was going to say, let's hand on the heart for this one, boys.
Moneybags Loke. We got the Tuck, the Meekster. Oh, I wish him the best. I wish the Meekster the best. And, oh, God, I almost forgot about Lobster. Jesus Christ. That's how much I care about you, buddy. Our ins.
You forgot about one more person.
Hang on, I'm looking.
The original Milkman.
The original Milkman. Who am I forgetting?
Crowden.
Oh, no! I forgot about that. No! I'd put that to the back of my mind. Jeez.
Oh, no.
My hand is on the heart for that one.
Who's your favourite now?
No, Nick. Oh, the spleen rupturer. Oh, no.
The spleen rupture. Wait, did he rupture someone else's spleen or did he rupture his own spleen?
He somebody else's.
My spleen.
So our ins are, we've got Josh Corbett, which I think may make our first, best 22. Depending how, people pulling up. Hugh Davies. We've got Josh Draper in from our category B. We got Tom Emmett, draft pick. I think it was a mature age, if I'm correct. Max Noble, big string bean. Another ruckman. We've been loading up on our ruckman. We've got Jaeger O'Meara to fill in. Oh, that's interesting. He's not a like for Monday, but he's that mature age, head in the midfield that we needed. He's going to be doing a lot more tackling. He's not going to be as silky as Old Man Monday, but we'll see how he goes. Liam Reedy, another rookie that we'll see in a couple of years. Wagner, he's been in the system for a while. This is what, third or fourth team, I think.
Which Wagner is it?
Corey
Wagner.
I think he used to play for North Melbourne in the late 2010s.
Yeah. North Melbourne, and I'm not sure. I think we're the third team then. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's interesting. It's once again he's got pace. He's either going to be used depth pick on the wing or in the halfback.
Well, you need that after Blakers leaves. What they do? I'm not trying to be. They do need depth on their wing.
We've got more than enough depth on our wing. I reckon we're good for that. And then Conrad Williams, who is just 40 kilos soaking wet, so he's got to.
I like his 40 kilos. People who are 40 kilos soaking wet, grade A AFL players.
Oh, he's silky. Yeah, he's silky with his ability. Yeah.
Yeah, JD knows he had Josh Bootsma on the Carlton list.
Exactly right.
But I don't know. With this one, I am going to be highly disappointed if we lose. I do not see St Kilda as a threat at all. With all of their injuries, I don't know where the goals are going to come from. But watch, we'll come back to the end of the round one discussion, and I am just going to be sitting here fuming because they're going to pull something. Yeah, they're just going to be pulling something out of their ass.
First one of the season is going to be directed at his own club.
I hope not. I hope they prove me wrong and we can start off the season good, but I never say never.
Freo's got a good history of getting these late picks and just finding gems, and I think you will find a few gems in that again.
Oh
At
yeah,
least
Draper's
one-
a one to look for. Yeah,
At
Draper
least
for
one,
sure.
at least one will be a consistent player in 2023. I don't know who it will be. You're saying it's Draper. It'll be one of them, at least one, and that's going to be a good thing for Freya's development.
Hook flag mantle directly into my veins. I am ready. Let's do it. Nah, to be honest, as much as we'd love to see it, I mean, I think we all know why we have a soft spot for Freo. I hope that you push top 4. I hope that Freo finds a way to start pushing teams further, because let's be honest, that's a club that, like you said, Nate, it'd be just great to see flag mantle before in our time, because they're a club that does deserve it. They've done well.
All right, on to that point, I'll add in more. I've got us going backwards a little bit before we go forwards, because of the forwards. We've got the Nathan Fife experiment again. The preseason showing was pretty good.
Did someone have him as the Coleman?
Yeah,
I saw someone predict Fife to win the Coleman.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mace, but did someone had him as the Coleman? Yeah.
No.
It was one of the. So I think it was the captain's votes, and I'm 99% sure that somebody picked Nat Fife. Keep going. I'll look it up.
That's wild. Like, Taberner, I do not think is going to last the whole season. I think one of the youngsters will eventually push him out, either an Amos or a Tracy, and it's deservingly so. He did not really impress me over the preseason. His goals came from other people's hard work mainly, which is a bit of a dig at him. But, he was in the right spots, I guess. But as I said, he didn't impress me. And with these niggling injuries, I think one of the youngsters should be coming in for him, to be honest, in the first game. I think we should be going with Tracy and Amos for a while.
Hey, boys, I can confirm this. A captain genuinely tipped Nat Fife to claim the Coleman medal this year. It's a genuine. Somebody is genuinely tipped, and then another has tipped Jack Gunston. What's going on? We love Nat Fife. This group right here. These two right here and this one right here.
Yeah.
We love him. How the fuck do you have him as your Coleman medalist for the year? He's not even gonna.
What, 20? Maybe
shit in the midfield.
No, he's not going to be in the midfield at all.
Mate, he'll pinch hit. If you don't think he'll pinch hit, there's no way he doesn't pinch hit in the midfield.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
They will take him out of forward line. A Coleman medalist is a player who will play forward line 90%, 99% of the year. No way Nat Fife wins a Coleman medal. If I do, I'll eat a fillet of fish.
How many goals is he kicking?
So what? He has to kick up. So no matter what, he has to kick a butt. So are we saying if he's the Coleman?
No, not. He's not making Coleman. How many do you reckon he's making?
I will
40.
40. That's generous.
The guy can kick goals.
Rory Lobb holds, I think, our biggest goal scorer at 37 in the last 8 years.
Didn't Tabner kick 40 odd in 2020?
I thought the Crabman did well a few years ago.
Yeah, I may be wrong.
Who tipped Gunston to win the Coleman medal?
Oh, mate, it doesn't reveal who tipped him. That's the funny thing. So you just have to guess which captain has the brain that's got half a lemon in it.
Yeah, I'm going to say Toby Nankervis has tipped Jack Gunston to win the Coleman medal because he doesn't know who else plays AFL.
I reckon Toby Green's probably been hit in the head a few too many times, so he's probably tipped somebody weird. I can't. I can't with that one.
I'm going to have a bold prediction for Nat Fife. Now, It's not 40 goals. It's not a Coleman. I reckon for the first time in his career, he will play a game where he kicks 5 goals.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he gets dropped. I don't know why for a sec. I was like, jeez.
No. I reckon. Now, I remember this is the Collingwood bias, the Collingwood fan to me. Buckley, in his last couple of years, was a midfield forward. There was one game, I think he kicked 6 goals against Brisbane in 2006. Either way, it was a bag. And we all thought this could happen with Buckley. He could go down forward, take a few marks, kick a few goals. I reckon that's Nat Fife for you. He's going to kick 5 or 6 goals in a game. One game.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, boys, let's talk about our upcoming segments for 2023.
Yeah.
My favourite one.
All right, so we've got 4 main segments. I guess 4.5 as well. I guess we'll talk about JD. Footy's Forgotten Controversies. That's like an honourable mention. JD.
It's more of a
brain
series
child.
that I'll be working on.
Yeah, he'll bring it up from random episodes each round, time to time. Happy to have a further discussions with Footy's Forgotten Controversies. He's also reached out to me about certain Collingwood ones. So I'll have the hook up on that one, and I'll be providing further questions and further information on some of these stuff, because I reckon I reckon JD has a lot of information about Collingwood's controversies, yet when he reveals it, he won't have all the information.
90%, as you said.
Yeah.
I do think that as well, I'm just going to put this out there, whether we get a bunch of listeners or whether we don't, feel free to put it in the comments section. Anything that you want to see in terms of a forgotten controversy, there's heaps of things that I've been looking up that I can't, we don't remember.
Our 4 main segments for the AWO Journeymen. First one, off the ranks, Meso's Arrow. Not completely taken from Footy Classified's Caro's Arrow, all right? This is something completely different. We've got a different graphic for it, different design, different text for it. So
nothing similar. Nothing the
similar.
Same.
Yeah, like Meso agrees as well. And he's consented to this. He enjoyed it, really.
I mean, yeah, it's just going to be a couple of minutes of me ranting about random stuff, footy related and whatnot.
It's not just about you, Meso. Sorry. It's going to be a rotating thing. So each week, someone will have a different arrow. We're going to call it Meso's Arrow. So we're all going to have 8 different arrows for 2023. Ideally footy related, but can involve other topics. So if there's a week where you're just not angry about anything, you can do a retro arrow, maybe something that's happened a few years ago. Something personal, if there's a certain rant, kind of like a grind your gears thing with Peter Griffin.
Can I talk about Mick Malthouse?
That you can, or that we can.
Whoa, I mean, yeah, all right. Yep. I won't say anymore.
The next award or next segment, the Boys Club Award.
Boys! Let's go break some hearts!
Now, the criteria, I reckon, is 98% in stone. I'm going to list off each criteria, and I reckon JD or Meso may have a little bit extra to bring to it, but this will be fully finalised. There will be a graphic involved on the video. Each member has a total of 8 nominations for the year on a rotating basis. For example, if I have round 1, JD will have round 2, Meso has round 3, and so on and so on. In the event that someone misses a round, we'll replace them and we'll catch up throughout the year. So 24 in total, 8 nominations each. No set criteria on this one, to be honest, in terms of age, games, or experience, but must be a bang average player in terms of boys. So speaking of a boy, can't be a star player. If the majority disagree on this nomination, so if someone puts forward a boy and there's 2 disagreements, they got to find someone else as soon as possible. Can't be a first-year draftee. Now, this is something, it's off the cuff, but I'll explain a little bit later. Can't be a first-year draftee unless mid-season draft, pre-season draft, or rookie draft, or first-year draftee, but they're over the age of 20.
Okay.
Can't be nominated for the season if they've polled 3 Brownlow votes in a game in the past season. So if someone's polled 3 votes in round 1, 2022, you can't nominate them at all for 2023.
You're out.
1 vote games, 2 vote games, you're still eligible, but if you poll 3 votes in a game, can't be eligible. Definitely no Brownlow.
So does club awards make a difference? Okay,
no.
Cool.
You can have a boy somehow pull out. Even I will allow a boy to pull out a club best and fairest somehow.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I've got a few doozies then. Oh yeah,
love it.
Because there's been some absolute ripper club best and fairest over the years for no reason at all. And you're like, how did that bloke finish 3rd?
Club boy. Now, I don't have further details on this next segment. The Stephenson Worry Hall of Fame.
You remember this, pal. You're a boy in a man's world.
The reason why I don't have further details is I don't have much information on Oren Stephenson and Marty Worry. So the Stephenson Worry Hall of Fame. He's basically a boys' Hall of Fame, named after Oren Stephenson, former Geelong, former Richmond
The
player,
boys.
and former Fitzroy player Marty Worry, famous for kicking the last ever goal in a Fitzroy home game. And I think the last ever goal in Fitzroy's history, Marty Worry. Played 7 or 8 games at Fitzroy, kicked 11 goals, 7 in his last 2 games. Went to Collingwood the next year, saw Tony Shaw as the coach at Collingwood and went, I'm out of here. And became,
I just went, no.
he's out. His personal life, though, it's a bit of a rocky one, so I didn't want to go too far into that one. Oren Stephenson, I'm pretty sure, played 15 games between Geelong and Richmond.
That's boy.
He was picked up from North Ballarat to replace Brad Oldens. Talk about big shoes to fill. Did he fill those shoes? Absolutely not. But as far as the criteria for the Stephenson Worry Hall of Fame, each member, once again, has 8 nominations for the year on a rotating basis. So again, if I have round 1, JD has round 2, Meso has round 3. But again, between the Meso's Arrow, BCA Boys Club Award, and the SW Hall of Fame, Stephenson Worry Hall of Fame, we're going to rotate it. So we're not going to have like 3 different awards in 1 week. So one...
Basically, someone gets a segment a week.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
The criteria, again, 24 in total, 8 nominations. Special wing. Now, of the 8 nominations we have, 2 of the 8 can be a special wing. Now, what's the special wing? The special wing includes either being a premiership player, high individual award, either a Coleman Medal, Brownlow, Rising Star, or Norm Smith, basically an award that no boys are going to win. Again, if the majority disagree, we must find another player as soon as possible. But again, we're doing our research. If people disagree on this, and we've done our research on it, we've got to do better. Right?
We do.
You got it. But the set criteria for every single player nominated must have played under 100 games. So if you find someone that's played 135 games, no. Absolutely.
The best example we had when we discussed it was you play 101, you're out.
Clancy Pearce, 100 games, ineligible.
But there's one segment I think you missed out, bud.
All right, boys. Takesh to go watch. Meso, shut up. This is actually important. He's a Japanese wrestler in America, living the American dream, making a name for himself. What is Takesh to watch? Basically, any matches he has during the week, we're going to talk about it. If he doesn't have any matches, we're going to see what he's been doing on social media. And I may just follow up on his cage match rating, because it's a pretty high rating at this current time. Everyone rates him. Everyone loves him. Everyone wants to see more of Takeshita. So what's happened with Takeshita this week? He wrestled on Dark and Rampage. 2 matches.
2 matches this week. I didn't even know there was 2.
But 2 wins. Now, what I love about this is he defeated Jack Cartwheel with a running knee in 3 minutes and 56 seconds on AEW Dark. What's
I've heard this
better,
was a very good match.
Pretty good for Jack Cartwheel as well for under 4 minutes, but 3 minutes 56 seconds. Times that by 2, you get 7 minutes and 52 seconds, and that was the exact match length for his AEW Rampage match against Preston Vance.
How do you find that out? How do you get that exactly?
I do my research. It's Takesh to watch for a reason.
Now, I guess the best way to put it, because we missed watching Takesh this week, so you're going to have to be the one that we're relying on you this week. Rate that match for us. How was Preston Vance versus Takeshita?
I'll give it a 7 out of 10, and that's being a bit generous. I think the chemistry was a little bit off, but it's not anyone's fault. It's just, it happens. You face wrestlers, you just don't match up well. Backslide was the finish. Bit of outside interference from Preston Vance's manager, but who cares? Takeshita won. Yeah. That's all we care about. 2 wins.
You're probably going on about Takeshita, but I mean, do you want to explain why there's a championship behind you?
I worked my ass off for that championship. I won a tipping competition against the boys. Won myself a world championship, and by winning myself a world championship, I bought it off WWE shop for $145.
I was going to say, because let's be honest, mate. I didn't get one. But I also didn't buy one, so...
I bought myself one because you weren't going to buy me anything.
Well, let's be honest. Nobody bought me anything the year before.
Oh, well, that's because of COVID. I couldn't really go out and buy anything for you.
Or the year before that. Pretty sure I won 2 years in a row.
Yeah, but because of COVID, I couldn't go out and buy anything, and by the time we could go out, it was too late. So
This close. It was a technicality.
He was this close to losing it.
well, the technicality was Maso forgot his footy tips at certain stages of the year, and look what happened. I sit here.
And they
You
ended
know
up
what's funny?
getting wins.
Mason should have easily won by not forgetting tips each week.
Well,
Maybe not easily, but he should have at least pushed you to the limit the entire way.
Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm sitting here as the AWO world champion, and you're just sitting in Perth somewhere with
I'm in
nothing.
a cave. It's pretty.
But I will say, if Maso wins the footy tipping this year, I will drive across the Nullarbor with this championship and just like a peasant to a king. I will just hand it to
Looking
Maso.
forward to it.
Here
Looking
you go,
forward to
sir.
Yeah, like crumbs.
Si, senor. Mucho gracias, podcast. Number one.
You sound like
Number
Santino. You sound like Santino Morella.
How about Fugo Santino?
John Chena. The John Chena.
John Chenna.
Speaking on Santino Morella for a second, who else wanted him to win that chamber against Daniel Bryan?
No.
Oh, you know what's funny? I'll send you guys the CBB thing after. You guys will like it. I'll show you guys. He talks about it.
I did want him to win.
Yeah, I know. That's why I came up because
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a really good clip. Would agree. I mean, it would have been fun just to see what happens if you won it.
he needed to. Oh no, I was pulling for him. Either that or the Rumble. Him beating Del Rio would have made my existence.
All right. That's it for the AWO podcast, boys, for the week. We hope to see you guys next week. I'm JD. Is that how you wanted to do it? Is that how you want to end it? I have no idea.
I don't know who I am anymore after this episode.
I mean, all you need to know is that you're the AWO world champion. And
I'm
that's
not a
all you
leader.
need to know going forward.
I'm not a leader. I'm just a co-captain. We're all co-captains here, but I am the champion.
I'm Mace Man the Spaceman, just floating around my opinions. So, it's been fun. Hopefully you stick with us for the season and we can give you some good old fun content.
I do have one more highlights video before the season starts, and hopefully AFL doesn't take me down for any copyright strikes. But
And I'm JD.
that is it.
That's all I wanted to give you. What a way to end. There you go.